Look, AI can make you smarter, but not if you let it think for you. In this video, I'll share the 5 ways I use AI to stay mentally sharp and why these techniques actually work long term. Before I get into the list, let me just explain what I mean by using it differently. Imagine a high-tech painting canvas that has 2 modes. The first mode lets you paint from scratch, but it gives you guides that help you think through each step, while the other finishes the painting for you based on a prompt. The second one almost always produces a perfect painting, while the first teaches you how to paint. AI works in the same way. So, in my case, tools like ChatGPT support my thinking by staying completely out of the way, or at least until I'm ready for a second opinion. Which brings me to use case number 1, using AI as a proofreader and editor. Now you see, this video itself is actually a pretty good example of that. It started as a rough transcript with run-on sentences, filler words. It was a mess. Then I ran it through ChatGPT in 2 passes. In the first pass, I only let it proofread, which means no major rewrites, no voice changes, just cleanup. In the second pass, I made Chat critique my work. So I asked it to find blind spots and suggest ways to make my delivery clearer and more viewer-friendly. Now, if I liked the suggestion, I used it. And if not, I ignored it. Now that's important. And a word of advice here, because this can get counterproductive fast. If you ask ChatGPT to critique your work, it will not stop. It will keep finding imperfections and suggesting areas to fix. Polish is okay, but don't let AI sand off your edges. Imperfections are what make you human, and people like to see a bit of personality. Use case number 2, using AI as a research partner. This is one of the few use cases where you don't have to trade depth for speed. ChatGPT's deep research feature, for example, takes about 5 to 15 minutes on average. Now, compared to most humans, that is basically lightning speed. I mean, sometimes it even pushes out a 5,000 plus word research paper in minutes. I mean, that would take the average person days, weeks, or even months. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. It does need steering. If you don't specify source quality, it will default to Reddit threads and YouTube takes, which is a problem if you care about credibility at all. Still, that's an easy fix. Just tell Chat not to include any sources that aren't peer-reviewed. And it will, because it's a good listener. But it's a good listener without an academic's intuition, which means you have to know what's important, and then you prompt Chat to emulate that expertise. Honestly, I find it strange that there are so many people who don't realize just how important that part is. If you ask ChatGPT to find research, interpret it, and then use it to support your argument without doing your own thinking, that's not research. That's just pasting citations to back a claim you didn't even reason through on your own. Here's how to avoid that. Let AI help you find information. That's okay. And you can even let it summarize the material for you. But you still have to read it. You have to reason through it. And then you can decide if it's actually worth including. To be clear, I'm not saying it's always bad to rely on AI to find things. It's just not helpful in a professional context where your critical thinking skills are being evaluated. That being said, when the stakes are lower, it's not always bad to use AI as a cheat code. Which brings us to use case number 3, finding lost memories. Imagine you wake up one morning and suddenly you remember an old video game that you played when you were 10. You can picture it, but you can't remember the name. Now, if you're like me, and you've spent hours on end typing vague queries into Google and falling down Reddit rabbit holes that only made your memory fuzzier, you aren't alone. And that's because traditional search was built to index, not to investigate. What makes AI different is that if you give it vague clues to work with, it actually does the searching for you. Just type in a vague memory of an old book, and AI will interpret the fragments. It will connect the dots, and it will surface in seconds something that you might have been carrying in the back of your mind for decades. Use case number 4, using AI as a critical thinking partner. ChatGPT can keep you honest, but only if you set it up correctly. By default, it's too agreeable. But if you adjust the custom instructions, you can get it to challenge your ideas, bring up counterpoints, and give alternative perspectives. By the way, I left my custom instructions in the pinned comment, so if you want to try it out, you may be able to give your version of ChatGPT just a little bit more spine. There is a real downside to this. If you rely too much on ChatGPT's critiques, this can lead you to distrust your own intuition, and it can even make you second-guess perspectives that are perfectly fine. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be you. And ChatGPT can optimize you out of existence if you aren't careful. That's why this only works if you already have a decent level of self-trust. So treat its input as data, but never as truth, or at least not absolute truth. Use case number 5, using AI as a creative sounding board. This one is different from the others because it's not about using AI as a critic, but as a creative partner to bounce ideas around. If your custom instructions are anything like mine, then you may need to set the context early in each thread. So tell ChatGPT something like, "This is a brainstorming session, not a review." Here's what that looks like in practice. Let's say you're working on a project. Maybe you're on a marketing team and you're trying to come up with landing page titles. Personally, I recommend starting on your own first. So generate 5 titles yourself. And then you can paste those titles into ChatGPT and say something like, "Don't critique these, just generate 15 more ideas inspired by them." ChatGPT will then turn those 5 ideas into 20. And now you have a larger pool of options that are all downstream of ideas that started with you. But this trick isn't entirely without risk either. Brainstorming with ChatGPT is easy. That's the problem. It's too easy. And because humans like easy, it can become the only place that you bounce ideas. If you want something genuinely new or interesting to come out of your brainstorming sessions, you need real people. AI cannot replace them. I mean, sure, it's a good substitute if you don't have other people to work with, but if you do, choose them every time. If you noticed a pattern here, good. You didn't imagine it. Each use case pointed to the same core idea, but from a different angle. And it's this: AI accelerates, you steer. Never forget that. Now, if you're an avid user of AI like me and you're starting to feel like you're losing your voice, I'm right here with you. Honestly, I can't promise that integrating AI into our workflows without losing parts of ourselves is even possible, but I am sure about one thing. Keeping hard work hard keeps it meaningful. Do the hard part, even when you have a tool that can do it for you. That's how you become smarter with AI.